Welcome to GDs. And this is Killing Eve Season 3. Season starts, few months after the events of Rome. And we get to see Villanelle getting married. And as the function moves on, an old Russian lady shows up. And Villanelle attacks her. And it turns out that she was one of the first female assassin, Dasha. And was the one who trained Villanelle. And she tried to kill Villanelle years back. Thus they have animosity between them. They however get over it. And leave the event together. Ending Villanelle's marriage. Dasha lets Villanelle know that the 12 have been watching her. And wants her to start working for them again. And she is trying to facilitate the same. As in exchange she will get her life back in Russia. Villanelle is interested and lets her know that she will need promotion and will return only if she becomes a keeper. And Dasha gives her a target. And wants her to complete the same. In order to show the management that she is back with them. And Villanelle gets the job done. Copying one of Dasha's original kill. Back in London. Eve survived the gunshot. And is now out of the MI6 and living a lonely life, working in a restaurant. And her husband Nico is recovering from PTSD. Carolyn has a new assistant. Mojafri. But because of the disaster in Rome. Her autonomy for the Russian desk is gone. And now Paul will be overseeing the desk. Constantine is also in London. And we get to know his stay in London is not his choice. And finally we find Kenny. Now working for an online publication. And is trying to uncover the 12, by going through the details of accounts which the panda hacked. Kenny tries to uplift Eve. And ask her to see him at work. And as Eve goes to meet him, he is not there. And later Eve finds his body fallen from the roof. At Carolyn's house. We get to meet her daughter Geraldine. As she has come to support her mother in time of grief. And when Carolyn suggests to Eve that she also believes that Kenny might have jumped. Eve has a big reaction and leaves. On the other hand, Dasha tells Villanelle that the management is considering her request. And she needs to show them that she can be a team player. And send her with a new recruit to finish a job. But Villanelle, instead of supervising, ends up killing the new recruit with the target. And as Villanelle returns back to Barcelona, Constantine was waiting for her. And Villanelle, despite being angry, doesn't kill him. Constantine warns Villanelle to be careful of Dasha and the 12. In addition, he also informs her that Eve is not dead. And we also find out that Constantine never left the 12. And has been playing all the sides. Back in London, Carolyn tries to get back to work. But for now is pushed out by Paul and is grieving in her own way. She visits Eve, and lets her know that she also believes Kenny never jumped, but couldn't accept it publicly. She also informs Eve that Villanelle is active again. In addition, she wants Eve's help to look into Kenny's death. And Eve agrees after some hesitation. Eve, having Kenny's phone, visits his office to know what he has been working on. And with some pushing and pulling with his boss Jamie, they agree to work together. And find out that all of Kenny's work was on his thumb drive, which the police have taken. Eve asks Carolyn's help to get the same. And as they discuss, we find Constantine was listening to their conversation. As he was able to gain Geraldine trust, who planned a bug in their house, not knowing what it was. And as Carolyn gets Eve the data, Eve, with the help of Kenny's colleague Bear, finds that Kenny had been looking into financial records obtained by the Chinese diplomat Villanelle killed. And that it has suddenly become active again. And Carolyn engineers a meeting with Henrik, a Swiss banker. And was able to find out that the account is managed by Charles Kruger, a former Russian agent, who disappeared at the end of the Cold War. And Eve suspects that Kruger is the accountant for the 12. We also find out that Kruger has asked for Constantine's help, as he found out that someone had embezzled money from the 12's account. Meanwhile, Dasha gives Villanelle an assignment in London. And as Villanelle reaches London, she tracks down Eve on a bus. And the two briefly fight, with Eve surprising Villanelle with a kiss before hitting her. And Villanelle leaves Eve, telling her that she is not here for her. Eve realizes that Villanelle's presence in London is no coincidence. And believes that she is planning to kill Carolyn. Eve tries to warn Carolyn, as she follows Kruger, but Eve is too late and Villanelle kills Kruger. And as Eve returns to her apartment, she finds stuffed toys reciting a recorded message from Villanelle. And in addition, looking at the recent suspected kills, Eve finds a connection between a murder committed by Villanelle and another murder in 1974. Eve goes to visit Nico. But she finds that he has discharged himself and left for Poland. and is not responding to Eve's calls. Meanwhile, Konstantin tracks down Kruger's widow and convinces her to send him the file that Kruger had set aside as an insurance policy, and tells her to leave the city in order to be safe. Konstantin travels to Barcelona and gives Villanelle information on her family, promising her more if she kills Kruger's widow as a favor to him. And Villanelle does the needful. Dasha is approached by Helen, an agent of the 12. She wants her to make sure Villanelle remains focused. And in order to do so, she needs to draw a wedge between Eve and Villanelle. And Dasha, in order to do so, follows Nico to Poland and steals his phone and uses it to lure Eve to his farmhouse. And as Eve reaches there, she stabs Nico, but remains hidden from view. And leaves a message for Eve, making her think that Villanelle is responsible. But Nico somehow survived. On the other hand, Villanelle, getting information about her family, arrives at her hometown in Russia. But Villanelle's return in her family is met with surprise and suspicion from her extended family. She bonds with her brother Pyotr and her Elton John obsessed half-brother Borka, and reunites with her mother Tatiana. She settles into family life and for some time enjoys herself. But during the harvest festival, her younger half-brother tells her that their mother Tatiana shamed him for losing the cooking competition. And this triggered Villanelle, and she confronts her mother Tatiana over abandoning her at an orphanage as a child. And Tatiana demands that she leaves, before claiming that Villanelle's father, whom she adored, was in fact afraid of her. Heartbroken, Villanelle kills Tatiana before blowing up the house, sparing only Borka and Pyotr. And as Villanelle leaves, she leaves money for Borka to buy tickets to an Elton John show. And on her way back she cries and dances at the same time. And being back, Villanelle is promoted to keeper by Helen, and given another job to kill a Romanian politician. Villanelle is disappointed and frustrated that the work is no different, even after becoming a keeper. She approaches Konstantin and tells him she wants to join in his plan to run away. Konstantin is reluctant, because his daughter Irina, as she hates her. But Villanelle bonds with Irina over their shared dislike of their mothers. Meanwhile, back in London, we find Paul, overseeing Carolyn's desk, is also a member of the 12. And he assigns Konstantin to investigate Kruger's wife's death, and tells him that the person who arranged the hit on her is the one who embezzled the money. Carolyn continues her investigation into Kenny's death, and learns that he called Konstantin before his death. In addition, she also finds out that Kenny's call details were shared before also with her desk. And this makes her suspicious of Paul's involvement. Carolyn asks his assistant to keep an eye on him and look for evidence. Carolyn also interrogates Konstantin about the calls, and Konstantin tells her that Kenny wanted to know if he was his father. Meanwhile, Eve, looking into the attack on Nico, deduces that Villanelle did not attack him. And she visits Dasha in Barcelona, as she was able to figure out that Villanelle copied her kill of 1974. Eve tells her that she knows that it is her who attacked Nico. Meanwhile, Villanelle, wanting to escape the life of killer for hire, approaches Carolyn and offers to become an informant for MI6. But Carolyn rejects her when she was not able to provide any information on Kenny's death or the 12. Seeing no way out for now, Villanelle meets with Helen and asks her for a new job in order to prove her commitment, and agrees to take Dasha with her for support. Villanelle and Dasha travel to Aberdeen to kill an American businessman at a golf resort. And in the resort, as they go for the kill, Villanelle hits Dasha over the head with a golf club, and leaves her for dead as she plans to get out of the 12. On the other hand, Eve was able to track Villanelle in Aberdeen, following her credit card transactions. And when she reaches the resort, she finds Dasha semi-conscious in the woods. Dasha admits to stabbing Nico, and Eve is tempted to kill her by standing on her chest, but stops as the paramedics arrive. Meanwhile, Konstantin prepares to flee with Irina, but is horrified when she runs over her stepfather with a car. Konstantin is frustrated by his inability to get Irina released from prison. Disappointed, he returns to England, and is called by Villanelle to pick her up after she attacked Dasha. And as they prepare to board a train, Konstantin begins having a heart attack, and Villanelle promises to come back for him, but she abandons him once he gives her the location of the money. Eve finds him and calls for an ambulance. As Villanelle's train leaves, she looks out the window to see Eve on the platform. Konstantin recovers in hospital, and finds Dasha in the bed next to him, and as he leaves, Dasha breathes her last breath. In London, Carolyn's aide, Mo, discovers something connecting Paul to the 12. But before he could pass the exact information to Carolyn, he is killed by Rian, an assassin for the 12. Villanelle, seeing Eve on the platform, calls her and asks her to meet. And as they get together, they share their first dance. But their meeting is interrupted by the arrival of Rian, who summons Villanelle to meet Helen. Villanelle asks Eve to retrieve a package that Constantine had hidden to aid his escape, and send Eve out the other way as she leaves with Rian. And on their way, Villanelle kills Rian and goes back to meet Eve. Eve gets the package from the storage, but Constantine reaches there before Villanelle. Eve refuses to give him the package and lets him know she will only give it to Villanelle. At the same time, Paul calls him and demands to see him, telling him that he knows that it was him who took the money. And Constantine asks Villanelle to meet at Paul's house, only to find Carolyn holding him at gunpoint. And Villanelle also joins them. And we find that Bear had installed a hidden camera, and in that they discovered that it was Constantine, who was with Kenny on the day he died. Carolyn demands an explanation from Constantine, and he claims that he tried to recruit Kenny into the 12 to save him, as he was getting too close to them, but Kenny got scared and fell to his death as he backed away. Carolyn is tempted to shoot him, but spares him and kills Paul, and allows Constantine to leave, and concludes that she will never be able to stop the 12. Constantine asked Villanelle to join him, but Villanelle decided not to go, telling him he is not family. As Carolyn calls the cleaners to report a suicide, Eve and Villanelle leave together, and admit they bring out the worst in each other, but are also drawn strongly towards each other. And as the season ends, they make a pact to walk away, and never see each other again, and will not look back. But the two stop walking midway, and look back. Thanks for watching. And if you liked it, please subscribe.